صاحبة السمو الشيخة موزة بنت ناصر
Your Highness Sheikha Moza bint Nasser, Chairperson of Qatar Foundation, Your Excellencies, the Shuyukh, Ministers, dear scholars, may the peace and blessings of God be upon you all. I have the pleasure to welcome you here, Dr. Ismail Saeed,
في اللقاء السنوي
to
لرابطة العلماء
meet you here in this Arab Global Scholars Gathering, which is an ambitious kind of gathering, which is in keeping with the developments that have been witnessed in our nation. And this happened twice. The development with the first age of civilization, and the second one with the second development in Arab civilization. And it has been able to do so twice, and it can do so for the third time. So this is a very important opportunity whereby we can attract minds from different parts of the world, and also to say that going back to this leadership is possible. It awakens hope for a future, and this is testament to the role undertaken by Qatar Foundation. We would like to give the floor to Dr. Hasna, President of Hamad bin Khalifa University. The floor is yours. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful, may the peace and blessings of God be upon His Prophet and his companions and followers until the day of judgment. Your Highness, Sheikha Moza bint Nasser, Chairperson of Qatar Foundation, Your Excellencies, the Shuyukh, the Ministers, distinguished scholars, ladies and gentlemen, the Arab world was a center of civilizational awakening. Its scholars have contributed to advancement and science. Is it enough to live in the past and forget about the present and the future, and to be proud of what our forefathers have given humanity and forget about what we can give humanity? What is our role? It is incumbent on scholars to carry out this kind of effort. Those who know are not equal to those who do not know. Her Highness has a steadfast knowledge and also a conviction that advancement can only be achieved through the building of knowledge, science, and the build of capacity, human capacity, to have a civilization that is proud of its culture, language, and religion. As a result of that, Qatar Foundation was established as a civilizational project that was based on education and scientific research in order to advance the state of Qatar and to reinforce Arab Islamic civilization, because she believed that Arab minds can re-establish the renaissance of this ummah, of this nation. And as a result of that, we have seen this initiative, which is the Arab Global Scholars Initiative, in order to attract the different minds and scholars that can contribute to the revival of our civilization and our role in this world. This initiative has contributed to the establishment of strategic plans for the 3 research centers, the Qatar Environment and Energy Research Institute, and also the Qatar Computing Research Institute, and other research centers that contribute to the development of the different institutions in planning and also in dealing with the different world challenges which are amongst the priorities of the state of Qatar, such as AI, and also when it comes to the field of water, environment, and so on and so forth. We are meeting here in this gathering the Arab Global Scholars, which is an initiative for all Arab scholars, and the HBKU was honored to be behind and in charge of reinforcing this initiative in order to achieve development and advancement through linking the Arab scholars scholars with partners in both the private and public sectors in order to contribute to the development taking place in the state of Qatar, regionally and worldwide. This kind of network is a very important component of such an end. That is why there is a hub where scholars can exchange ideas, can hold dialogue with the different partners in different governmental and private initiatives, and also to come up with a number of programs such as medical visits and also research partnerships and many other opportunities to exchange partnerships and ideas for Doha to be a hub that would attract Arab minds and make them return to the region. And due to the importance of this initiative, a committee is going to be established in order to guarantee the sustainability of this program, to set other initiatives and to follow up with them. What we're witnessing today, the crises in Gaza, Sudan, Lebanon, are going to reinforce our trust, our confidence, our resoluteness, and also to underline that what links us is far beyond what separates us. Our ummah, our nation has a history that it can reinforce and regain through the resoluteness of its sons and daughters. We aspire to work with you, to benefit from your ideas and thoughts in order to build a better future for us all. Dear scholars, we salute you and we thank you for being with us. May the peace and blessings of God be upon you all. Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed Hasna, distinguished guests. The Arab Global Scholars is not only a network to exchange ideas. This is an exceptional opportunity to exchange thoughts between startups, between think tanks, research centers. This is a tree that was planted by Her Highness 2 decades ago in order to contribute to the renaissance and the development of the state of Qatar and the Arab region. And here we would like to invite you to watch the following video to have more details about this initiative.
كعرب فعلناها سابقا وعلى فترة ممتدة جدا، قرون من الريادة على مستوى العالم، يجعلك تؤمن أن العودة لهذه الريادة ممكنة وممكنة جدا.
من 2006 احنا بدينا حركة العلماء العرب المغتربين، واللي هي كانت لها اجتماعات سنوية في الدوحة ب 2006 2007 و2008 وكذا وغيرها.
هذه المبادرة هي انعكاس لرؤية قيادتنا وأهميتها طبعا لنا كعلماء عرب، ينتج منه فرص للابتكار والتطور في المجالات العلمية.
AGS initiative is very important because as we did in the Arab expatriate before, under Qatar Foundation, we spearheaded this initiative back 2-3 decades ago. So now we need to continue, and that's actually what's followed up by this initiative we just talked about, to look forward about how we can improve our country.
There is definitely a need to foster renaissance and research in Arab science and so on and so forth. Many reasons for that. One is, of course, the historical contributions of the Arab scholars.
There are many areas where scientists in the Arab world have an advantage. In Qatar, for example, there is a tremendous amount of genomic research.
هناك الكثير من العقول العربية المهاجرة حول العالم حالما توفرت تلك الواحة الخضراء في بلادهم سيعودون تباعا إليها، وقطر إحدى أهم هذه الواحات العلمية في عالمنا العربي.
أمنت هالفرص للعلماء العرب أنه يرجعوا ويقدروا يعملوا أبحاث على مستوى عالمي.
Qatar that has been open, in fact, to this cross-fertilization around the world.
أنا أكيد مبسوطة كثير إنه أشوف في اهتمام بالعالم وعم يزيد هالاهتمام من المنطقة العربية، اهتمام إنك تجيب العلماء العرب وتحطهم مع بعض ويصير في exchange of opinions, ideas.
The positive impact that I see in an initiative like the Global Arab Scholars is the connectivity.
لا يوجد تقدم علمي من غير حوار وتبادل وتفاهم، أحيانا فكرة تناقشها مع زميلك وتبني عليها مشروع كامل.
كيف يمكننا دعم العلماء العرب في بداية طريقهم هو إنشاء مثل هذه المبادرات.
ندعو علماء مرموقين من أنحاء العالم يجونا في قطر ويشوفوا النهضة اللي صارت في ال 18 أو ال 15 سنة اللي فاتت.
نحن في منتصف العالم، نحن نتأثر ونؤثر في هذا العالم، لسنا بواقع موقعنا الجغرافي بل بواقع تاريخنا أيضا دائما جزءا فاعلا في الحضارة الإنسانية.
الحضور الكريم، تسعى رابطة العلماء العرب إلى المساهمة.
Distinguished guests, Arab Global Scholars aims to achieve the pillars of Qatar development in the state of Qatar and the region, and this is manifested by the state of Qatar through the establishment of this Arab oasis of science and knowledge. And now I would like to move to the opening session, which is going to be entitled The Role of Arab Intellectuals in Shaping the Contributions to the Arab Renaissance. And we're going to have a constellation of speakers. This is going to be moderated by Dr. El Mgermed, who is the head of the Qatar Computing Research Institute, and we're going to have Dr. Hilal Al Ashwal, Research Development and Innovation Advisor to the Chairperson and Executive Director of RDI, Dr. Dina Katabi, who is a Director, Center for Wireless Networks and Mobile Computing, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Dr. Shihab Quran, co-founder and chief executive officer of Power Edison, and Dr. Taha Kashout, global chief science and technology officer at GE Healthcare.
السلام عليكم.
May the peace and blessings of God be upon you all. I would like to welcome you, our friends, colleagues, for such a long period of time. Here I do feel very, very proud in this journey in which I have moved from different parts of the world, arriving to the state of Qatar. Although we have different affiliations and achievements, but our minds and hearts are deeply established and rooted in this region. In these very difficult moments of times, the Arab world is facing continuous challenges, including the genocide against our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And this leads to the fact that we need to take care of all what is happening in order to invite all scholars and thinkers from the Arab world. Our forefathers have lightened the pathway of our civilization. When humanity used to live in the dark, those forefathers used to solve the different problematics from Khwarizmi, Al-Razi in medicine, Ibn Khaldun in sociology. All these scholars have underlined that our scientific endeavors should serve our humanity. Qatar Foundation has worked on Arabic language techniques, and I am very proud proud of the achievements that have been made. But of course, we still need to work on so many other challenges, which is the shortage, such as the shortage of Arabic content, when Arabic content constitutes only 0.5% on the internet, although the total population of the world, the Arabs constitute approximately 6% of the total population. So that is why we need to revisit our methodologies, our curricula in terms of innovation and science. So our distinguished guests, we need to work on our efforts. So Dr. Hilal Al-Ashwal with his research, and also Dr. Dina Qatabi in AI when it comes to medical care, and also we have Dr. Shihab Qara'an works in renewable energies, and also we have the contributions of Dr. Taha Kashout in the field of medical care. So if we have enough time, we have approximately 40 minutes and we have 3 rounds of questions perhaps that we're going to allocate to you. First of all, I would like you to introduce yourselves. How have you chosen this pathway that has led you to the world, but still you stayed in touch with your roots in the Arab region? Can you talk about your personal relationship and ties with the Arab world, and also the experiences that we have had as scholars and thinkers? Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed. At the outset, I would like to welcome you all, particularly our Arab colleagues who have come back to the state of Qatar once again. I can summarize the reasons that have led me to keep these ties and communication with the Arab world in the last decades. These are 3 reasons: love of homeland, the second reason is the family, and the third one is the vision of Her Highness and her belief in Arab scholars. So the love of the homeland is deeply rooted in our hearts. I lived in Yemen at a time when the family, the school, and the community worked in order to reinforce our national identity and to reinforce our belief in our patriotic and religious identity, our allegiance to the homeland. Wherever we go, we carry with us the burden and think about our homeland. Whenever I met my colleagues from Arab nations, many of them thought about the worries of their own countries more than their own personal ones. That is why I was very lucky. I left my country when I was 15, but I was very, very lucky because wherever I went, I was able to live amongst Muslim and Arab communities throughout the different phases of my professional life. So this made me very, very keen indeed to keep on communicating with others, and I was able to establish the Yemeni Association that is still working till now for professionals in order to develop education in Yemen and also to reinforce the capabilities of our scholars and students in the United States of America. So I moved from the US to Switzerland, and one of the reasons behind that was to be closer to home, closer to the region, for me to be able to contribute effectively in many, many fields, particularly when it comes to education. My presence in Switzerland opened the door for me to get to know Qatar Foundation. I do still remember the visit by Dr. Fathi Surur, may God bless his soul, and Dr. Abdel Jalil when they visited the Federal Center for Technology, and the rest is history, as we say. In 2006, Dr. Ahmed and others, and I was part of the committee that was established by Her Highness, a committee of a number of scholars in order to help Qatar Foundation to set the bases of education and research. And I came back once again between 2014 and 2016 as the executive director of the medical center, and now I'm going to permanently join Qatar in order to contribute to this common vision and the vision of Her Highness in order to invest in Arab minds and to become a model that can be emulated and to say that we are not only capable to be productive but also to be innovative and also to have a leadership role in the region. Thank you. Dina, go ahead. I would like to salute you all. I'm very, very happy to be with you here and amongst you in this event. This is the gathering of Arab scholars, and this is a very important gathering that made me so proud. Yes, how we used to be, and twice we were able to contribute to our civilization and to awaken hope for a future worthy of the history of a nation. I was born in Syria. I did my college in Syria, and then I joined MIT as a student. And after that, I graduated and became a computer science professor. And I focused on artificial intelligence, which I still do. So how can I talk about this relationship? We Arabs have our own particular personality, which is deeply rooted in our culture. When it comes to cinema, to television, we see this legacy, this heritage, this culture that forms this kind of umbrella culture of the Arab region. So we keep on thinking about what is happening in the Arab region. The Palestinian cause is one of our main causes that we keep on thinking about. As a university professor, I had opportunities to deal with so many Arab minds, and I was very, very happy indeed to have amongst my students, and many of them are still Arab students, and some of them have graduated and became professors at at MIT, and also some of them work for Microsoft, and so on and so forth. I'm so glad to see such kind of efforts made and such kind of bright students graduate from these universities. I am so glad also to cooperate with the Qatar Computing and Research Institute. I visited the state of Qatar, and I'm happy that I've come once again for more than a decade. I think it was 15 years ago, Dr. Ahmed. The first time I came to the state of Qatar, I was so surprised to see the level of development here in the state of Qatar. We used to cooperate with the state of Qatar. I visited Qatar twice or three times, and every time I come, I see a difference when it comes to the culture, to the real estate, to the buildings, and so on. And after 15 years, I can see the great growth and development on the ground. So this gathering of Arab scholars is very important. It is not going to wane a week, and we can see the opportunities that would enable us to reinforce these relations amongst us. Dr. Shihab, go ahead, sir. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Ahmed, and I would like to thank Her Highness Sheikha Moza, who has hosted us here in our state, our homeland, state of Qatar. The good, the blessed reputation of the state of Qatar is everywhere. I am in the United States, but we hear about Qatar Foundation, the leadership of the state of Qatar, of which we are so proud. I was born and raised in Jordan. Jordan, as you know, is a state that has hosted migrants from Lebanon, from Palestine, Syria, Iraq, and many other countries. I was raised, and I had always a question that used to be posed to me by my father: a state with no energy, with no food, with no water. How are we going to be able to host all our guests? How are we going to be able to grant them a life with dignity. So this was the question that remained in my mind. I continued my studies. I did a BSc in electrical engineering, and then I went to the US, did my master's and PhD, and I studied at Harvard University. I worked in the field of semiconductors, the design of phones and other different technologies. But my dream that kept on linking me and keeping me in touch with the region is to solve issues of energy, water, and food. There is a nexus between the three of them. And this was the impetus that led me, first of all, to concentrate on this field. So the first field in which I conducted research was water, and I received a grant from the Ministry of Defense, and I concentrated on the use of energy in the desalination of water. I tried to bring this technology to the Arab world, but I failed. There was no adequate environment to develop the technology or the product. So this was a lesson for me as to what I should do. And I had a second opportunity where I started working on solar energy. I established a company in 2006-2007, and in less than 2 years, I was able to develop a number of technologies, and we were able to build the largest project in the world when it comes to solar energy. We're talking about 200,000 solar panels. So this was the lesson. And then I said, let's establish this technology, work on it, and we have received requests from different Arab countries in order to bring this technology into the Arab world. We built Smart City in Bahrain and many other projects in Jordan and Saudi Arabia. Now, there are some other fields when it comes to food. The love of the homeland of the Arab region is still deeply rooted, and on a personal level, I have 3 children, or the first one is named Rayyan in reference to water, Noura in reference to the son, Danny, in reference to food. So my kids, their names represent this nexus between energy, water, and food. We hope that this dream is going to be achieved through the wise leadership that we have here. And of course, the entrepreneurs, in order to reinforce and revive this renaissance as it was established and reinforced in the opening papers. Dr. Taha.
First of all, thank you for having me here.
First of all,
Sabah al-khair wa assalamu alaikum. Just being from this part of the region, and as I build on my experience, by background, I'm an interventional cardiologist and leader in machine learning. But I'm reminded really of Ibn Khaldun's sort of cyclical perspective on the past doesn't just die out. It really influences our vision for our experiences for the future. I mean, this region is known for many renaissances, from algebra to astronomy to agriculture, right? And how that impacted the globe. And as I look across my entire experience throughout the last 33 years now, being gone from this region, you can really think hard about some of the problems that the globe is facing. I mean, when it comes to healthcare, for example, healthcare is very nutty if you think about the experience that you have. So I've been at GE Healthcare now for 2 years. Prior to that, I was vice president and the chief medical officer for Amazon, and we took healthcare very, very seriously. The experience, one of the biggest problems is access to medication. I mean, just think about now, this is a problem we worked on for almost 5.5 years, my time there, where by the time your visit is done with the doctor, whether that's in person or virtual, actually the medication arrives at your front door. And if you kind of think about it, it's kind of wild of an idea, but the access to care and the closing the gap of care that has resulted. I mean, really improve experience, improve access to care, the cost of care. Just something that, you know, it really took big step towards, and starting in the United States and now growing globally and addressing a lot of other issues in equity of care and access to care. But you know, with GE Healthcare, I mean, it's an even bigger challenge. Is when you think about the world right now, 4.5 billion people around the earth don't have access to quality care, no care at all. I mean, and if your goal or mission to reach the moon, you can't keep thinking about building taller buildings. You really have to think about a rocket ship that can reach there. So we're looking at this problem very seriously, because if you look at healthcare now, on average, 100% turnover every 5 years of staff. That can't scale. By every estimate, you know, you look at physician burnout, 50–60% globally. I mean, and you look at shortage of clinicians and access to care. By every estimate, there's no way you can really kind of reach the moon with this vision to reach those 4.5 billion people, with shortage of clinicians, shortage of nurses, shortage of technicians. So thinking about rocket ships, I mean, one of the ideas is, I mean, today, like with ChatGPT, just, I mean, think about, you can give a computer a book and really start conversing with it in a few seconds later, right? It can analyze, it can summarize, you can actually interact and have meaningful reasoning and understanding about how the concepts are. But that creates a bigger gap for reaching in healthcare, right? So one of the things I just announced last week was full body X-ray foundation model. So think about a clinician now anywhere around the world can actually upload an X-ray and be able to have all the results in sub-seconds, accurately classifying and analyzing the image, but also translating that into language and actually give you the report. So you can think about the scale, how this can help reaching more patients and reaching more people that needs that care, but also scale the healthcare that's really in dire need. Early this year, we also launched the very industry's first. I mean, GE Healthcare is known for being, the leader in many firsts, commercializing X-ray, MRI, handheld ultrasound. But the very first industry foundation model for ultrasound, I mean, ultrasound is a very, very hard modality when you think about it. You need to have expert sonographer to conduct the image, the exam, get the images, and analyze the results. So with this large foundation model for ultrasound, you're able to now build applications and reach more population. Now imagine an expert nurse practitioner, not a sonographer, will be able to guide it with the ultrasound about how to position the ultrasound handheld, and then be able to capture high quality images and be able to also do all the measurements and be able to translate that into meaningful results in matters of seconds, not matters of hours or needing an expert. And now we'll be able to do that in remote areas, starting with heart, because healthcare, when it comes for heart failure, for example, I mean, heart disease still the leading cause of death worldwide. 40% of heart failure patients show up 6 months earlier. You could have detected advanced symptoms that you could have actually curbed and improved the outcome of those patients. However, ultrasound is a really rare modality. So really proud. I mean, one of the proud moments is like we received funding from the Gates and Melinda Foundation for $44 million to now provide and scale that for AI-driven access to these sort of technologies. So you can do that in villages. You can do that anywhere around the world. So as if you're receiving care in New York or London or Seattle. Right? And then go beyond just cardiovascular into musculoskeletal diseases, lung, breast, and many other areas. But going back to Ibn Khaldun, especially like in Muqaddimat Ibn Khaldun, I'm reminded, I mean, two things. I mean, for these renaissances to really thrive, a couple of things are very, very important. You can't do that in a vacuum of knowledge. Just think about the Egyptian sort of wealth of advances that we've seen. It's no coincidence that that coincided also with the Library of Alexandria, right? But also in Ibn Khaldun, Muqaddimah Ibn Khaldun, you know, another area is you cannot do that in vacuum of contact, because when it comes to what he calls ta'assubiya, or where you have cultural cohesion. Cultural cohesion is a really great thing. And back in Amazon, we used to say, you know, it's day one culture, because, I mean, we're so afraid of day two culture, where you could become so cohesive that you close your mind to new ideas. So it's very important that this dialogue and the culture and the experiences, and be open to new ideas and be open to collaboration, which is something I'm really excited about over the next few days, to kind of continue on that journey and learn more as it take all of us to really kind of advance this field.
Thank you. شكرا. طبعا احنا نوافق ان النماذج اللغويه.
We do agree that the LLMs are going to be much more specialized in the imaging and so on and so forth.
الآن بنحاول نخصص بعض الأسئلة.
So we'd like now to open the floor for questions. Dr. Shihab.
كيف يمكننا تشجيع المفكرين؟
How can we encourage professionals, thinkers in the diaspora to effectively contribute to the development of our world, and how can we keep talented people to build our future in the Arab region?
I think
I think when you have a talent, whether this is a scientific talent, commercial talent, any person that aims to achieve a dignified life should work on that. There are studies that have been undertaken as to how we can make people motivated. So the triggers are a sense of purpose and also a goal and also freedom of behavior. So the way that would enable us to reverse this brain drain and make those brains return to the Arab region is to have the adequate environment for a dignified life, and also to have the adequate environment that would enable that person to come back, to want to conduct research, to be able to conduct discoveries and research, build companies, and so on and so forth. These are things that are known and clear to everybody. I'm not talking about something that is not known to you. What we have, mashallah, in the state of Qatar, these are great steps in the right direction. Dr. Shihab, thank you. Dr. Al-Ashwal, how can we build a sustainable system in order to find the solutions to the challenges in the Arab world? And if you can comment also on the first question. I do not think that we need to encourage our talents for them to contribute. They are committed. They are keen to contribute to the Arab world. And testament to that, your presence here amongst us. This reflects the solid commitment to the region and also a solid commitment to the common goals. What is very important indeed today is to have a kind of a methodological system that would enable us to establish the capabilities, the frameworks, and also to invest, to make the best of these capabilities in order to find solutions for the region. For that to be successful, we have to establish partnerships between those talents and the decision makers and those who are behind the implementation of the different national plans and strategies. This would give us the sense of purpose that you talked about. In the past, we used to think about how we would be able to benefit and learn from our talent. So we live in a world where we're all communicating with each other through Teams, through Zoom, and so on and so forth. So that is why we need to have our minds, our brains from the Arab world. And also we need these brains to continue learning to be in high standing centers, because this is also going to serve us even better in the Arab region. And as Dr. Dina had said in the previous video, what is also very important indeed is to invest in the talents that we have inside the state. We talk about the level of development that we have achieved, where we are now, and so on and so forth. But we forget who has brought us here. These capabilities, these talents that have chosen to come back to build the homeland. And it is incumbent on us, particularly when it comes to our youth, particularly who would come back in the first phase of their professional life. Those are the ones who are going to establish the bases and the pillars based on which we're going to be able to build the bridges and the networks. If we talk about the second question, when we talk about the frameworks that we mentioned, if we have the right to dream and not to give an answer without our dream, we need to solve our problems. The problems are similar in terms of health, water, cybersecurity, food security. For us to achieve a solution, we should have partnerships on a regional level. We need to have regional research centers. We need to have regional strategies in order to confront these challenges and overcome them. And if there is an example that we can look up to is the EU programs, research initiatives that reinforce education and also the educational structure and innovation structure in all countries through the coordination of the different strategies. And of course, when you talk about these programs, we're talking about 95 billion annually. This is the revenue. We're talking about here projects that are long-term. We're talking about cross-border partnerships, and also to build capacity, to build programs that can remain also in the region. So also when we talk about this kind of a virtual localization of minds, Dr. Dina, I really enjoyed the TED Talk that you presented to us. And as you have said, you played a very important role when it comes to the establishment of the Qatar Computing Research Institute during the initial phase. And we visited you in Cambridge, and you visited us many times. And we'd like to thank you always. Your work in AI perhaps can serve humanity in a very novel way and very useful. How do you see the use of such technologies in order to bridge the gaps that exist in education and health? First of all, let me say, what am I doing in order to give you some context here? We use AI, we try to develop AI. Most people, when they think about AI, they think about something similar to ChatGPT, for instance, something that would understand a certain text or a certain linguistic model or images. But the second thing that we can think about that comes afterwards when we talk about AI, it is not an attempt only to automate, or it's not an attempt, sorry, to automate humans. It should go beyond that. So what we are working on is to establish a kind of AI that would understand the electromagnetic waves. We have Wi-Fi, we have cellulars around us, and so on and so forth. One of the things that we were able to achieve, we had like neural networks through AI that would analyze these radio signals that are around us, and without touching the person, we can discover your breathing and to see how your breathing goes, and also your pulse. And when you sleep, it would be able to know the EEG signals and also the motor symptoms, if you're dreaming or not when you're sleeping. Through AI, you can see a new world which is linked and related to medicine and health and other matters as well. Through the analysis of these electromagnetic waves. The second thing that we worked on is that we were able to bring those large language models. So it is the linguistic AI. We can talk about the physiology of language. I can give you an example. If we think about EEG, we can think about as patterns that are repeated patterns similar to words, and these patterns are sequential, similar to a language that is controlled through the use of a certain specific grammar, and this would enable you to know new things about medicine. So we have had a number of discoveries. We discovered that there were people that had Parkinson's disease that we were able to diagnose even before the first kind of symptoms appear. So when it comes to Alzheimer's disease and so on and so forth. So we can monitor all these aspects as a physiology. Why am I talking about all these aspects? These are very important when it comes to scientific development in the region. AI is a new technology. This is a technology that gives us all the same advantage. Nobody is more receiving or getting advantages more than others. And for us in the Arab region, we can make the best of such technologies, and we can also try to reinforce the capabilities of AI. And of course, we can reinforce the startups, entrepreneurs, and so on and so forth. Fascinating, fascinating. The last word to Dr. Taha. How can we benefit from AI? So what you talked about, this is something that was tackled also by Dr. Dina. How can we benefit from startup technologies in order to reinforce medical care in the state of Qatar? We, in the state of Qatar, we witness a pioneering role when it comes to personalized health and genomic programs. So we have had a genetic sequencing of 50,000. Our aim is to reach 100,000. So this is a pioneering program, and we are amongst the first countries that have delved into such a realm. So what is beyond this? All these steps that have been undertaken. So we have 1 minute.
Having 50 population sequence is not an easy feat.
So
and it's just really something that gets, and also digitization of medical records, which is super important. But I guess it's really close to the or precision medicine, which is really important because healthcare is multimodal in nature. However, there are many challenges today. 97% of this data is not used today, right? If you look at globally, there's about 180 zettabytes of data generated every year. Just kind of give a sense what that means. Imagine every book ever written and you digitize that times 3.6 billion times, that's 180 zettabytes. 1/3 of that data in 2025 is coming from healthcare. Yet 97% of this data is thrown away. 900,000 data points in an ICU bed generated every hour goes to waste because current AI and machine learning models can't deal with this unstructured data, right? It's very task specific. And when you deal with this multimodal data, this is where new advances in AI, like foundation models, whether that's text language or vision language or even signals, is going to be that rocket ship that's going to get us to the moon. It's very important how we can scale, because now you can, especially with power of cloud computing, you can structure all of this data, index all that information, synthesize it in a way that you can now actually make more personalized decisions, and then scale that experience to any clinician globally. So that's the power of this new AI that we're on the cusp of that. And Qatar is really leading in the sense, if you've digitized all these records and start sequencing, you're already much further ahead than many nations. I mean, I wish I can say that of the United States. But this multimodal data becomes that much more important, especially when it comes at rare diseases. Again, at screen early for lung cancer and breast cancer, and get ahead of diseases, even push the limits to remote sensing and be able to do that at home or anywhere, as Dr. Dina was talking about. So this new generation of AI and cloud computing really going to be the rocket ship that can help us advance that. I'm really looking forward to see how that can be reused here.
شكرا. نشكركم جميعا، نشكر ضيوفنا الكرام.
We would like to thank you all. We'd like to thank our distinguished guests.
حديثنا يتواصل على مدى.
We're going to continue our discussion in our coming 2 days, and we're going to have some other discussions as well. Thank you very much.
شكرا للمشاركين في هذه الجلسة.
We'd like to thank the participants for this session, for their ideas and thoughts. We're going to have 3 workshops that are going to discuss very important themes such as AI, climate change and air quality impacts, and also the role of AI and entrepreneurs in biotechnology. We'd like to extend our thanks to Her Highness for being with us in this opening session. We'd like to thank you all, distinguished guests, and we'd like to thank you for this fruitful discussion. We'd like to thank you for this meeting and gathering, and may the peace and blessings of God be upon you all.